Imagine a rugby showdown where one team's discipline disasters threaten to derail a seemingly dominant performance, yet they still emerge victorious. This gripping tale from the Premiership pits Newcastle Falcons against Northampton Saints, leaving fans divided on matters of fair play and fortune. Dive in to uncover how Saints clinched the top spot while Newcastle's winless streak continues. But here's where it gets controversial. Could a few yellow cards and a disputed try really define the outcome? Or is there more to this high-stakes battle? In a thrilling Premiership clash at Kingston Park, Northampton Saints secured a commanding 36-19 victory over Newcastle Falcons, propelling them to the summit of the league standings. This result came despite a series of disciplinary hiccups that could have cost them dearly. Meanwhile, Newcastle Falcons, often referred to as the Red Bulls in this context, remain without a single league triumph this season, their drought extending back to last November. For newcomers to rugby, the Premiership is England's top-flight rugby union competition, where teams battle fiercely for glory, much like a high-octane soccer league, but with the added intensity of physical tackles and strategic plays. This match exemplified the league's unpredictability, where even powerhouse squads can stumble if they don't manage the game's flow. Northampton Saints earned a 5-try bonus point win, edging out defending champions Bath, who face Leicester Tigers later this weekend. What made this achievement even more remarkable was Saints playing nearly a third of the match with a player short, due to 2 successive sin bins, temporary suspensions for infractions, in rugby terms. Think of it as a timeout in the penalty box. Newcastle Falcons, on the other hand, showed resilience by nearly closing the gap twice during their periods of numerical advantage, though they couldn't fully capitalise, leaving their coach frustrated. The Saints kicked off strongly, scoring 2 tries within the opening 7 minutes. South African lock JJ van der Mescht powered over close to the goal line, and scrum half Alex Mitchell added another after a swift run from the right flank, assisted by his England teammate Tommy Freeman. Newcastle responded with their own try through wing Ollie Spencer, who caught a clever cross-field kick from fly half Brett Connon. But the big turning point came in the 31st minute, when Van der Mescht was sin-binned for handling the ball illegally in a Newcastle maul, a rugby move where players pack tightly to push forward. With Saints down to 14 men, Newcastle narrowed the deficit to just 2 points, as powerful forward Amanaki Mafi forced his way over the line after 35 minutes. Yet they couldn't extend their lead further. Just before half-time, Finn Smith set up Freeman for a try, restoring Saints' buffer at 21-12. And this is the part most people miss: Saints' ability to regroup despite self-inflicted wounds. But here's where it gets controversial. Did those sin bins reflect poor discipline or just the heat of battle? Many fans argue that rugby's rules on contact can be subjective, leading to debates about whether such penalties unfairly swing matches. Van der Mescht's second sin bin arrived on the 50th minute for a high tackle, lifting an opponent dangerously, which is a safety no-no in rugby, on Newcastle's Bota Chamberlain, resulting in a 20-minute red card. This gave Newcastle another numerical edge, and they briefly capitalised as replacement Stefan Coetzee scored in the corner on his first touch, bringing the score to 21-19. Yet Saints always seemed to have an extra gear. This time, it was winger Eduardo Todaro, who capped off a slick right-to-left attack involving quick passes from Mitchell and Rory Hutchinson, widening the gap once more. Newcastle thought they'd levelled at 26-all when Chamberlain finished a fast break down the right wing, but the television match official, TMO, rugby's video referee equivalent, disallowed it due to a lifting tackle in the build-up by George McGuigan, a ruling that sparked heated discussions among fans. For beginners, the TMO reviews plays to ensure fairness, but interpretations can vary, often fueling arguments about whether every call is consistent. The Falcons couldn't bounce back from this setback, and as their hopes faded, a Finn Smith penalty and a powerful 30-yard run from Alex Coles sealed Saints' third win and one draw in 4 Premiership games, keeping them unbeaten. Boldly put, this match highlights rugby's blend of skill and chaos. But what if we flip the script? Some might say Saints' discipline issues show they're not as invincible as their record suggests. Could this be a recipe for future upsets? It invites us to question, does relying on comeback ability outweigh the need for better on-field control? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree that the sin bins were game changers? Or was the TMO call the real injustice? Share your takes and let's debate. Newcastle Falcons head coach Alan Dickens shared his reflections with BBC Radio Newcastle, emphasising, "We started slowly for some reason, and that's something we'll address. But the players' spirit in the first half was outstanding. There were significant shifts in momentum, but we had more positives this time than last." Playing against a side that reached the Champions Cup final last season, we've been discussing team cohesion. They've been together for 7 or 8 years. We've talked about emulating Northampton's model of building from within and the academy, which we're aiming to replicate. Overall, it was a stronger showing. The lads' resolve and unity throughout the full 80 minutes were encouraging. Northampton Saints Director of Rugby, Phil Dowson, told BBC Radio Northampton, "We didn't make it easy for ourselves, and discipline is popping up as an issue again. We complicated things unnecessarily. The worst outcome was Newcastle's victory over Sale last week. They're a determined squad with talent, and we anticipated a strong response. We began brilliantly, but then deviated from our plan, perhaps overexerting ourselves instead of sticking to our core strengths. We handed Newcastle openings, and they seized them, proving to be a tough challenge. For those curious about the squads, Newcastle Falcons fielded Chamberlain, Spencer, Hurl, Clark, Williams, Connon, Benitez Cruz, Brocklebank, McGuigan, Pelfreman, Hodgson, Clark, Lee Warner, Gordon, Maffey. Substitutes included Fletcher, McCallum, De Bruyne, Usher, Lockwood, Elliott, Beekmans, Coetzee. Northampton Saints lined up with Freeman, Todaro, Hutchinson, Dingwall, Litchfield, F. Smith, Mitchell, Fischetti, R. Smith, Davison, Coles, Van der Mescht, Kemeny, Graham, Chick. Their bench featured Wright, Iagun, Green, Lockett, Prowse, Pollock, McParland, Bello. The match was officiated by Ian Tempest, whose calls were central to the game's ebb and flow. As rugby enthusiasts, what lessons do you draw from this encounter? Does it change how you view team discipline in high-stakes sports? Drop your opinions below.